It's time for another mixed review. This is the film review segment where you hear from both sides, positive and negative. I'm your host, Everett Ericson, and today's film for review is Battle of the Sexes. The film recounts the famous chauvinist versus feminist tennis match between Billie Jean King and Bobby Riggs, played by Emma Stone and Steve Carell, respectively.
Hello?
Eureka, Billie Jean!
It's Bobby Riggs. I had a great idea. Male chauvinist pig versus hairy-legged feminist.
You're still a feminist, right?
I'm a tennis player who happens to be a woman.
Don't hang up.
By the way, I shaved my legs.
Now it's time for The Good Review. All biopics and historical dramas serve one purpose: to deceive the audience into doubting the known outcome. Before many audience members ever set foot into the theater, they know who won the Battle of the Sexes, and therefore can predict the climax and conclusion of the film. What makes a great biopic is the ability to build tension and have audience investment in the stakes of the film despite them knowing the outcome. During the scene of the match between King and Riggs, I was on the edge of my seat the entire time. The flawless recreation of the action that there's already plenty of footage of heightens this effect. On top of this are not only the great and immersive performances of Emma Stone and Steve Carell, but also by the supporting cast, including greats such as Alan Cumming, Fred Armisen, and Tom Kenny. The cast is a perfect blend of familiar faces and new talent. Visually, the film is amazing. Not since Foxcatcher have I seen a biopic that was more aesthetically pleasing. The framing, the lights, the use of mirrors, everything blends together to make the stunning images of the movie. But my favorite part of the film as a whole is its portrayal of Bobby Riggs. He is indeed portrayed as a chauvinist, but more importantly as a showman and a gambler who knows how to exploit an audience for cash. I don't see him as an antagonist, and indeed in the context of the story, maybe he shouldn't be. It's the fact that these unique perspectives are shown that makes a film like this great. I give Battle of the Sexes 5 out of 5 stars. And now it's time for The Bad Review. All biopics are guaranteed to have two things. Each is inescapable for the genre and severely depletes the realism of the film: perfect timing syndrome and montage-itis. Let's start with perfect timing syndrome. Symptoms include things happening in extreme convenience or inconvenience to the people in the story. Exhibit A, Bobby calling Billie in the middle of her first intimate encounter with her hairdresser. Exhibit B, Billie's husband and her lover getting into an elevator together. Exhibit C, when they can't decide what's wrong with her outfit, the hairdresser shows up out of nowhere and says, "Hairdo?" On to montage-itis, and I'm not talking about traditional montage, I'm talking Rocky montage. By now, they're stale for any film, and you can almost predict the beats of the sequence as it happens. Oh, and by the way, actors in biopics should still be acting. Yeah, I'm looking at you, Sarah Silverman. Just because your character is similar to your actual personality doesn't mean that you can just pass them off as yourself. That's not acting. And another thing, there are way too many weird eroticism scenes in this movie. It's not that I have a problem with lesbian relationships, it's how the movie portrays these two characters as having an intimate aura around themselves at all times. It's not that you can't glamorize that kind of relationship. You absolutely can and should be able to. It's just, it doesn't fit in this movie. And in the end, that's what the movie feels like. It's just a bunch of pieces of a puzzle that almost fit together. That's why I give Battle of the Sexes 0 stars. Well, there you have it. Oh, and one last thing before I go. I noticed that the movie put Margaret Court in kind of a bad light. She was the player that first lost to Bobby Riggs, but in the film she's seen as kind of a cutthroat player, one who's willing to exploit Billie Jean King's sexual confusion to gain a lead in the tennis circuit. I was going to add this to the bad review, but then I wondered, well, what if she was really like that in real life, and the movie was portraying her faithfully? So I did some research, and I came across this little gem from earlier this year. This is Margaret Court talking. Let's take a listen, shall we?
Tennis is full of lesbians, because even when I was playing, there was only a couple there, but those couple that led that took young ones into parties and things, and things they just, because they like to be around heroes, and what you get at the top is often what you'll get right through that sport. The mind is a battlefield, and that's why I wrote that book, Train Your Brain, because the mind isn't. It's all in the Bible. God's got so much in there about the mind, how it affects our emotions, our feelings, and you can think, oh, I'm a boy, and it'll affect your emotions and feelings and everything else, and so that's all the devil.
Wow. Okay, that's it. I'm all done. Woo. Tune in next week for more mixed reviews if you want to. Everett Ericson is out. Wow.